Hey, welcome to I Hope This Helps. We have an exciting guest today. We have Dan Sachkowsky. Dan is a business coach, also runs the Big D podcast. And Dan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Appreciate you inviting me on here, your podcast. A little bit about myself. A business owner, entrepreneur for 26 years. Today, have multiple things going on. I call myself a serial entrepreneur. At the same time, I'm a business coach. I help people scale their businesses 3 to 5x in 12 months. I run a couple of podcasts, and I really just try to take the experiences that I've had over the last 26 years in business and teach other people how to implement them so that they can grow at a faster pace and not go through the pain that I did.
Wow, that's really interesting, especially 26 years of doing this. I'm sure there's a lot of life lessons that you learned and a lot of, bombs that you had to cross and all those things, right?
Yeah.
For someone that's starting out, what's the number one advice?
As far as business?
Just for you.
I think you just have to have a clear goal of where you want to go. You don't have to know everything. I think a lot of times, there's a different level of understanding your business, and that level of understanding only comes through being a part of it, right? I think a lot of people want to get involved in business, but they want to know too much, and they want to have all the information, get started at the right time. There's never a right time. If you feel it and you want to do it, just do it. You'll figure it out. That's how almost every successful person who's made millions and millions of dollars has ever done it. They just figured it out. If they couldn't figure it out, they found out who the people were to put in place to figure it out. And most people that operate businesses that do tens of millions of dollars a year have no idea what goes on the inside of their company. They just hire the right people and put the right people in place. So when you're small, all you have to do is be willing to take the risk versus being comfortable. And just don't have that imposter syndrome. Just say, hey, listen, I'm going to do whatever it takes. It's going to take time. I'm going to fight through it. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get to where I need to be, and just make yourself better 1% every single day, and you'll get to that goal.
All right, so basically, no perfect time to start, just start, right?
Yep.
If you can't figure it out, mentorships are important too. Try to find out the people that are getting it done and put good people behind you to help you out, correct?
I think mentorship's important, but I think now in today's world, finding a business coach. Like I did that early on. In my early 20s, I had my first coach. I remember I think I paid like $15,000 for the year with this coach. And it was probably the most valuable thing I did, because I was allowed to pay somebody to give me and drive me the experience that I didn't know, but at the same time, help me overcome things that I didn't even know I had to overcome. Help me watch out for obstacles that I didn't even know were going to be obstacles. And a lot of people are scared to hire people and pay for that initial. So I say, listen, you spend 12,000 hours from high school to 12th grade. From first grade to 12th grade. And you go all throughout high school, 12,000 hours in school. And you get taught by average people how to be average. Now you come out into this world and you say, okay, next step is go to college, 4 years, then find a job, work for 40 years. And after 40 years, you can retire. And everyone's got this perfect plan. Listen, that may have worked for our grandparents, but today most people can't live on 100% of their income. How are they going to retire on 40 of it? So if you were willing to spend 12 years of your life to listen to average people, another 4 years to listen to a professor who only professes, and just tells you what's going on, doesn't understand, why wouldn't you take a year or two to work with somebody who's actually in the space you want to be in, spend the money, buy the knowledge, open the books for the places that you want to be, not the places you were told to be? Because we're conditioned as children to go through this process. And that's why I totally believe the school system is so messed up. Our kids don't understand the difference between what is or what's supposed to be. It's just hey, now it's so confusing. I know my daughter now is my daughter's 15, and she brought home this math equation. I don't even know what it was. They call it some different kind of math. I'm I literally emailed her teacher. I go what is this? When are we ever going to use this? It's all the stuff that we did in high school, we don't use today. Why are we making life so complicated for something that's never going to play out? Why not teach these kids hey, here's how you balance a checkbook. You know what I mean? Here's how you scale growth. Here's how you take tangible goals to, become successful and grow a little bit better every year. But they don't do that stuff because the average person doesn't know how to teach it, because if they knew how to teach it, they'd be doing it.
That's true. That's very good knowledge right there. All right. So now, besides you, obviously, let's say they can't, you know, get you, you're too busy or whatever. How could someone find the right coach? Because there's a lot of noise out there, right? How do you distinguish, like, you know, the people that actually can do and compared to the people that can't?
So, in this social media world, I believe it's 95% bullshitters. A lot of people are selling programs, they're selling memberships, and they're trying to get you in queue so that they can live this lifestyle. First thing you need to do is identify what are they focusing on to get you. What's their call to action? What's their hook? And how are they bringing you in? Is it the car? Is it the house? Is it the boat? Is it the airplane? Because that's probably not the coach you want to be with.
No.
They're selling you a lifestyle that you're going to end up paying for, but it's going to be their lifestyle, not your lifestyle. Or is it somebody, again, I don't want to toot my own horn, like myself, who doesn't show that stuff, but actually delivers free content every single day, a message, whether I put out 3 videos a day, a reel, and it's 3 minutes a day, and you're getting 3 valuable pieces of information that cost me tons of time, tons of frustration, and tons of money over the years. But I'm able to now implement this in my coaching clients and help people and show people the way. Most people who sell programs or like try to sell a lifestyle, if you actually watch their influence videos, they're not giving you any information. For me, I literally just deliver free content all day long, and I just need one thing to hit that person, and that person's going to come to me. So finding someone who's actually like been in the trenches and continues to be in the trenches and is speaking from truth versus like this whole fictional world, that's kind of how you have to find it. And it's hard. I mean, you will end up paying for something because we're in an ignorant place where we want the car, where we want the helicopter, and we want the boat, but we can't see through the bullshit. You know?
But there's a lot of bullshit out there, that's for sure, and a lot of people fronting and fake it until you make it. I hate that saying. I'm like, why don't you just show the grind and just keep grinding and
100%.
keep doing all that? All right. So you also talked about kids in the school system, right? What are a couple things that in your childhood and everything that made you have this drive to be in entrepreneurship and everything like that?
I grew up. My parents were broke. Both my grandparents, were immigrants. Both sides of my family were immigrants, and my mom was born in another country. My dad was born here. My grandparents worked in a factory. My mom, worked in pharmaceuticals, but in a factory in the beginning. And then my dad delivered furniture, and then he got disabled when I was a young kid. And I just saw them struggling, and I just saw like so many different things. And as you get older, you start to really catch on that like you're not doing well, like your family's not doing well. Like, okay, we're going to go to Kmart back then, and you're going to get 3 pairs of jeans for the whole year, and you're going to get 5 T-shirts. So now you're like, shit, I have to figure out how I'm going to circulate these T-shirts and these jeans so I'm not wearing the same outfit every Monday, right? And then now here's the winter season. Okay, you can get 5 more T-shirts. And then you start going to school, and you start seeing kids who like maybe don't even wear the same T-shirt for a month. You're like, wow, like, things are a lot different on my end. And I remember driving through Sayreville, New Jersey when I was like 15 years old with my dad. And we passed Bon Jovi's house back then. Listen, I grew up in an apartment. I didn't even know houses could be that big. I thought it was like a store. I didn't know what that was. Like that when you're living in an area where it's all high rises, all apartments, and you're not accustomed to going outside of that place, and everyone in your family is living the same way, you don't see the outside world. So as we started driving and experiencing, I go, wow, like that's crazy. And my dad said to me, and I'll never forget, those are rich people. We'll never be rich. They're different. I'm like, how the hell do I become different? Because I want that. And I believe it was a blessing and a curse at the same time, because what it made me focus on at a young age was success as a sticker of house, luxury, cars, and money. So straight out of high school, I started my own company. Had no idea what I was doing. Probably had no business being a business. But I knew that I wanted different. from 17 to 26, I made a few $1,000,000. I mean, when I was 24 years old, I think I made 600 something thousand that year. And 2007, the economy crashed. I had nothing left. It was a wake-up call for me because I was chasing money for 7, 8 years in a good economy. 1990, we're the same age. When we were done with high school, 1999, like, bro, it was a great economy. We didn't see bad times. All the way until 2007, we didn't see bad times. So we stepped into the business world of good. So spending money, doing this, doing that, you had no idea because you never had to go through a hard time because money was just coming. But when everything was gone, my kids were still there. So I had to reevaluate my position of what I was doing and now start working for purpose versus for pleasure. And the cars were gone. Everything was gone. So I had to rebuild all over. And I said to myself, like, I've spent so much time in the last 8 years focusing on one thing. And this one thing all crashed right in front of me. So now it's up to me to figure it out. And also, number two, how do I take one thing and divide it up into 5 or 10 things so I have multiple income streams? Now I started seeing what the wealthy people do. They don't do one thing. They have multiple things. But you have to master one thing until you can go to the next thing. This is a big problem in this world. Everyone's got 1,000 ideas and they want to open 5 businesses tomorrow, but they don't want to master one. So you're never going to make any money unless you become good at one thing. And once you walk away, then you go open up another. So from 2007 to now currently, I always said to myself, like, if my goal, let's say at minimum was $1 million a year, how do I have 10 resources that create 100,000? The economy crashes again, 50% of it go away, I still make $500,000 a year. And that was always my focus. So I've been able to build multiple revenue and income streams over the course of the last however many years it's been now, almost 20 years again, and put myself in a position to win. But not only that, leverage people, leverage businesses, leverage opportunities to bring in income without me being there. And getting paid in other countries is pretty cool. Like, I get paid in a couple of countries. Like, right now it's tomorrow in another country. Right now it's today in another country. And right now it's yesterday in another country. So imagine like getting paid today for yesterday, and today for tomorrow. That's happening right now, right? So it's pretty crazy. But understanding that the value is being able to leverage yourself like that is something that we're never taught in school. Where do you learn this stuff? Well, you learn it from successful entrepreneurs. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. The books I've read, I've probably read over 800 books in the last 20 plus years. First book I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Changed my life. I was 16. I see you have Atomic Habits here. Great book. I read that a few years back. But every single book has helped. And one book that I remember like yesterday, which was a major key factor to my success, was Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I don't know. You ever read that book?
No, I have not.
So Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, you read that?
Yes.
So that's a good book. That's the third book I ever read. So Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill wrote this book, but he didn't publish it when he was alive because he was scared the devil was going to attack him. So years and years and years later after he passed, his family published this book. And it just talks about like all the good things in our life and how the devil wants to take it away and how bad people in our life and all these different things and different situations we put ourselves in and how, we create the opportunity or the mess in our life. And that book really helped me understand that, like, number one, association is priceless. Number two, our time is super, super valuable. And number three, if you're spending time with people that just don't understand you, there's nothing to talk about. Go find the people who do understand you, and it's going to be a smaller amount of people. We grow up with like wanting to have a big group of friends, but when you're in a successful world, you can't have a big group of friends because a big group of friends is never going to have a common interest. You got to find a core group of friends that are going places, thinking the same way, and you guys usually utilize each other to grow versus trying to hang out with all your boys from back in the day that are still sleeping on their mom's couch,
It's kind of funny. If my wife was right here, she'd be like, "Oh my God, you sound like me in many ways, but you say it a lot more elegantly." I usually say, "Jack of all trades, master of none." You're lucky to have 5 close friends in life, you know, and things like that. But you said a mouthful in general, right? And it's just amazing. Like, now, your childhood made you what you are today, correct? So would you change that for anything?
No, I don't live with any regret in my life. Some things I think that we say as adults that we would have changed, we shouldn't say, because everything that we go through molds us into the next version of us. You don't fail, you learn. We do fail in life, and we do come to a point where many things we trip on and fall on. But if we grow through the pain and grow through whatever it is that we're trying to learn, there's a lesson in everything. So I think all of us experience a point in life where we go back, and I think you hear probably 100% of the people in the world say, if I could have, I would have. Or, man, if I would have just changed this one thing. But if you just changed that one thing, that outcome would have been different, and you wouldn't be thinking the way you're thinking right now. So I totally believe that, like, God, our life is designed on purpose, right? God knows what he's doing. He's got a plan for us, and we just have to show up. But so many people fight the show up game. They just kind of want, like, life to give them what they think they deserve. But we don't deserve anything unless we show up.
No.
So I wouldn't change anything. What I do want to think about all the time is, how can I make the future predictable based on the results I got on the past? Because I can only change the future. I can't change the past, and I can't change the present. So I always utilize things that I've went through, and I look at the good in it, I look at the bad in it, and I look at the lesson in it, and say, how can I make this better for the next time around? Or if this situation occurs, what are the different opportunities that I can come across based on the value that I've learned from it? And this is what I teach my clients. A lot of times people are their own worst enemy, and they always think that the problem is outside of them. Everything going on in our life is inside of us. Every result that we have is a direct correlation to all the actions that we've taken. Everything going on in our life is based on what we, put our time into. That's just the way it is. So the worst place to live is in between your two ears. But once you start believing that change is coming and you can be better, you become better, but by the lessons that you've learned, not the mistakes that you dwell on.
That's deep in many ways, right? Now, I'm not talking about your kids or anything like that. Let's talk about my kids, or kids in general, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, they would understand that 3 jeans, 5 T-shirts, and all that stuff, because they're spoiled in many ways. Obviously, there's a lot of kids that would understand that, but kids that are growing up with abundance, because we live in a society that, like you said, whatever's on TV and everything like that. Now, what do you think? Is that a benefit towards them, that they should expect this the way of living, and they should always strive for this? Or was everything too easy for them, and now they're not going to understand how to fight because they never had to?
So I think it's the parents' fault, depending on wherever these kids end up. We blame society, we blame social media, we blame everything, but it's the parent. The parent has to take fault. Everything that happens with their child is a direct correlation to what they've done to get their child to get there. So my kids grew up with me always being a business owner, but my kids probably had 10 T-shirts for school. That's it. A couple pairs of jeans. Not all the clothes that their friends wanted. Not the expensive sneakers. Because I always taught my kids it's good to want, but what do you really need? And I never gave my kids anything. I didn't buy them their first cars. I didn't do any of that stuff because I wanted them to take action. I wanted them to be proud of what they're achieving and what they're doing. And when they get something and buy something and have something that they were able to accomplish, we almost take care of it a little bit better. We prioritize it a little bit more, and it becomes more special. So both of my boys now are in business, 21 almost and 19. And my oldest one's been in business since he's 17 in high school. I helped him go into business, but here's how I helped him. I said, you're going to work for the next 12 months for free and see if you really want to do this. Now, could you imagine a high school kid going to high school? He was on this program in his senior year where he was able to leave school at like 11 o'clock and then go to work. So he'd go to work from 11 o'clock to 7 o'clock at night, come home and study. All his friends are out, hanging out, Applebee's, this, that, football games. Monday through Friday, this kid's grinding till 7 o'clock. Today now, he's been out of high school since, I don't even know what year, probably 3 years now. Kid's doing like $30,000, $40,000 a month at 20 years old.
He's living life now. All those people wish he was grinding like he was.
But what he's not doing is spending it. All his friends are buying these cars, buying these dirt bikes, buying this stuff. He's reinvesting it in his business. And these are things that I'm teaching him. And he has a business coach. I said, it can't be me. It has to be somebody else. Because your kids will only listen to you to a certain extent, because there's a level of trust and a level of respect that we can't have them overstep and that we can't overstep. And a lot of people don't understand this. Parents are the worst enemy to their children when they try to be everything but a parent. Me pursuing my kids as a mentor is cool. Like my son says, like, because of you, I'm everywhere that I am right now, and I'm so grateful. But at the same time, I'm a dad first. But I just push him in the direction I believe he needs to go. My second son originally wasn't in the world of wanting to be in business, started seeing what his brother was doing, now wants to be in business. You know, my daughter's 15. She wants to go to school for cosmetology, but she doesn't want to work for somebody. She wants to own something. My kids have always seen the value of hard work pays dividends, whether it's a nice vacation, whether it's a nice house, whatever it is, but they know the sacrifice. And I've always brought my kids along for the ride with the sacrifice. My kids were not heavy like on social media. Listen, kids are on YouTube, kids are on Snapchat, kids are on all this stuff, but my kids aren't doing stupid shit on there. My kids never had video games, ever. I'm totally against it. Number one, I didn't have video games because I was broke. I remember when I got Atari, I think it was used, and we had to blow in the thing, and it worked a couple of times, then it didn't work again. But my kids never had video games because I wasn't going to allow the outside world to just destroy their mind. They had dirt bikes, wave runners, quads, and they went outside, and they had fun. But we had fun together. These are things I did with my kids. 90% of parents buy things for their kids so their kids could stay busy and stay out of their space. Go play your video game, go do this, go do that. When's the last time like you went somewhere and like there's 20 kids in a pool riding a bicycle with the bicycles dropped on the front lawn? You know, this is what we did. And this is what I taught my kids to do. My kids and their friends were doing it. They were riding their bikes. They were meeting their friends. They were doing this stuff. Because that's how you live and that's how you understand life, not sitting behind a computer. You know, my kids would be like, oh, I want PlayStation or whatever the fuck it was. Sorry, can I curse? Is that right? Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
They want PlayStation. I'm like, well, you can go to your friend's house and play that. And one day, always hear from their friends, man, your house is so cool. You guys have this. You guys have that. You know, you have a dirt bike. You have this. But they had to take care of it. After you went dirt bike riding, guess who's washing it? They are. You know, these are the lessons that I tried to always teach my kids based on that. So I think that when kids trip up and do shit, the parents don't want to take the responsibility that, like, I did that to my kid. I put my kid in his own room, and he doesn't have a world outside of his room. He doesn't have friends. He's not sociable. Whose fault is that? How many times you go out to eat? Every kid's on a fucking iPad. Bro, our parents would slap the shit out of us like if we weren't paying attention.
True.
You know? We sat there, and we did what we had to do. We talked to our brothers and sisters, whoever it was, and we just sat there. We had dinner. I don't want to, oh, it's easier, that you hear parents, it's easier just to give them the iPad. Why? Because you don't have to deal with them? You don't have to be a parent? Just keep them busy?
I think that's terrible. And honestly, with my kids, you know, at one point my son Landon, he was on the iPad, and I literally grabbed it one day and said, I hate this shit. And I'm like, no more. And what a difference, right? Now, my son loves to play sports. Like this fall, he's doing football, baseball, and soccer. And we're always out and about, and we're always doing our thing. And I think one of the biggest things you teach kids nowadays is to be social. Like, go into a room, say hello to everybody. And I make sure that my kids do that all the time. That's so important that my daughter does it, my son does it, and I don't do it to hear from other parents like, oh, your kids are so polite. I don't do it for that.
Yeah.
Like, listen, nowadays kids don't, like you said, their heads are always down, can't go out to dinner, they have no social skills at all. I want my kids to have social skills because I think that's the new tool that'll help them in the future, and so on. But let's get off the children stuff. We're not about that. We're about business and entrepreneurship. So, where do you see a lot of people make their first pitfalls besides just getting ready to start and everything like that?
So I think a lot of people look at business as a piggy bank, like, that just keeps filling up. They don't understand that, like, listen, when you're an employee, you got security. When you're a business owner, you have no security. The only security is your mind and the way you train yourself to think. As business owners, sometimes we'll have months where we don't have money, and then we'll have months where we have a lot of money. Now it's all about being able to understand how to utilize that money and what you can and cannot spend. I think a lot of people get involved in business and all of a sudden they're starting to bring in some types of money and they think that this is like a continuous flow. So now let me go buy the car. Now let me go, pop bottles. Let me go do this shit. Let me go buy the Louis shoes, whatever it is. At the end of the day, like, that stuff does nothing but puts you in a position where now you have to live up to that life. You're showing everybody this great life that you supposedly have. Now you have to live up to that status. That's the hardest thing to do in business, is live up to status. Listen, did you catch me off of any day? I'm wearing basketball shorts, a pair of sneakers, and a T-shirt and a fitted. You know what I mean? This is me. I'm not wearing a suit. I did a speaking event last night, 7-figure syndicate, bro. People in there, we're talking, every one of us, have made millions of dollars. We're all in T-shirts. Because what I found is you should be scared of the guy in the T-shirt who shows up versus the guy in the suit who looks better than everybody else. In the past, it was the way where everyone wore suits. That was the business attire. But today, when you look at success, what you're wearing, this is the casual wear. This is what people wear. Because at the end of the day, we don't have a status that we have to live up to. We're not Wall Street runners, you know what I mean? This is not the way of living anymore. And understanding that and seeing a simple lifestyle and where you need to be and how do you maintain a business and not try to get caught up in the clout what everybody else is doing. A lot of people get involved in business because they want to look like everybody else and show up like everybody else, and that's where they fail. You're you, be who you are, don't forget where you started, and continue to be that person, but get smarter, make more money, use it the right way, and help other people. But so many people get involved in business for money, and if you get involved in business for money, you're going to fail. Money should always be secondary. What's your purpose? What are you delivering? What's the value that you're bringing to the table? Especially with what you do. You got to deliver value. If you're not delivering value, you're not going to close the deal. True. If you chase money, bro, you're not going to have referral business. You're going to scam people out of what they're doing. You're not going to get people who enjoy the experience. And you're going to be rebuilding your company every single 30 days versus bringing value, doing the right thing, showing people exactly what they need to do, and being basically a shoulder to lean on throughout the entire process. Now they're thankful. Now they're referring. And now your business grows because you're leading with what you need to lead with, and money comes secondary. Once people learn that, business is easy.
It's true. Very true, especially when you're a value business and everything like that. Now, one thing you said before is different avenues of income, right? Different streams, but the first thing you got to do is master one, right? So after you master one, now do you go into a industry similar, or are you trying to get 10 different avenues so they're all somewhat recession-proof or something like that?
So I think it's totally up to you. I've been in the clothing business. I've been in the car wrap business, construction business, roofing business, demolition business, real estate business. I've been in all different businesses. For me, if it makes money, it makes sense. But you have to look at the opportunity. You have to evaluate it, and you have to know you're taking a risk. What I do think, though, is if it's similar industries, it's a lot more riskful. Because you kind of know what you're getting into and you have more education in it. I like to invest in opportunities where it may not be something that I'm going to be a partner in, but it's something that I'm a financial partner in. And as long as I know that, hey, my money's going to be secure and I'm getting paid back and I have these dividends that can come, that might be good for me. But if it was in the construction world, I've done it for 26 years. I know if it's going to go, I know if it's not going to go. So I like coaching people who are in construction, who are in real estate, who even mortgages, like, because that's the world I'm from. And I understand how the economy works. I understand how people work. You have to change in your trend. But if it's any other, I helped a guy who owned a cleaning company. I don't know anything about cleaning, but it's about scaling your business and doing the right thing. So I just have to really understand what a business is going to do for me to be a part of it. And if I were to coach somebody in a certain business, I can help anyone. I can help restaurant owners I've helped. You just have to understand the root problem on why they're not growing. Now, if you're going to invest in a company, you have to understand the goal. Like, here's the projection. Let's put it out on paper, because so many people have a plan, but no business plan. So anytime anyone wants to do business or go in business, show me a business plan. Show me your proposed 12, 18, 24-month schedule. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? And where are we going to be? Then we got to execute. If you just have a dream, it's not going to work. You know what I mean? So I don't think you have to be in the same industry, but you just have to know that just because you have money, you can't just throw it around, because that's where you scare the shit out of yourself, you know?
I get it. So I'm a firm believer, and correct me if I'm wrong, all right, that basically one skill that every business owner usually has is they're social, right? They're selling, because you're always selling when you're a business owner. I don't care what your business is, you're selling something, right? But now the other most important thing is, and I want you to distinguish which one's more important, you got to know your numbers. You got to know what the cost of your goods are, how much you're going to build, and what you're getting billed for, and your ROI, et cetera.
Yep.
What do you think is more important? How do you think, it goes hand in hand?
So I think, let's go to sales for a second. Every single person in the world is in sales. They sell their time for money. So every time someone tells me I don't do sales, I go, you show up every day. And you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. You're a salesperson.
True.
You just don't know what you're selling. You're just selling your deliveries, whatever you're delivering. But as far as business, I think number one, you don't have to be an outgoing person, because when you look at like some of the nerds in the world who've built some of the biggest companies, they just put the right people in place. So I think different types of businesses, depending on who you are and what you're looking to do, like you could be a social person who literally brings business, gets business, introduces your life to the right people, but now you got to put the team together. Or you could just be the guy who has the idea and then puts the team together, and now you just drive the team to where it needs to be. Because how many big companies are out there, like, let's use a car dealer, for instance, Ray Catena, right? Like, you don't see Ray Catena. But he's built an enterprise, right? He's got the right people in place to build the right enterprises, multiple distribution centers, based on his goal and what he was looking to achieve. But you're not seeing, he's not the face of his business. He's not out there socializing. His general managers are, the people who are running the operations are, they're doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you just put the standards.
Yeah. Or you look at someone who, maybe is in a different field where they have to be the face. They have to be on TV. They have to be on podcasts. They have to do this kind of stuff. But they don't really know the inside metrics. So for me, like with companies I own, systems and processes and CRMs and all that shit, dude, I don't know any of that stuff. I pay people to do that. I'm not, and I don't want to say it's like a nerdy thing, but like that's not for me. For me, it's all about being able to grow the business, having the vision, understanding that I have to put the right people in place, and knowing that I don't want to be the bottleneck, but how do I do this? And as long as I can get the right paid, skilled people in place, this could be a money operating machine. Other people want to be on the tech side, so then they hire somebody to help with their business development, help with their growth, be their marketer, do all that stuff. For me, I'm a self-marketer. Like, I like to market myself, grow myself. I haven't paid for advertising for any of my companies since like 2014. It's just about the way that you market your company and the things that you do, how you bring yourself out there, and how you brand yourself. So I think it could work, different for depending on the individual, because some people just are terrible speakers and terrible in public, but they got a fucking brain, dude. And if they can use that brain and put the right people in place, they're unstoppable.
Yeah, very good points. All right.
All
right. How about you give my audience like 3 good, tips or something out there
Tips on what?
on business, man, entrepreneurship, if someone's starting, someone that's starting, someone that's already been established, and someone that's looking to grow.
Okay, so someone who's just starting, like we said earlier, just do it.
Okay.
put a projection out, 12-month projection of what you think growth looks like, where you want your business to be. Now take milestones. So I think the biggest problem in the beginning is everyone wants to make $1 million, right? But they haven't even made 100,000. So if our goal is to make $1 million, let's get to 100,000. Let's get to 250,000. Let's go to 500,000. Then we'll go to 1 million. So it's all about taking those little steps of growth and being able to know these are the things I need to do. How do I correct myself? Because fast growth equals a lot of pain, but consistent growth equals great growing pains, but at the same time, consistent revenue, that's going to continue to grow by watching yourself and being able to adapt. Because what you're doing at 100,000, you're not doing at 1 million. Everything changes. And what you're doing from 1 million to 5 million, everything changes. So as long as you know exactly where you want to go and you're willing to take the time to learn it and get there, to be your best, not to beat the best, because I think people get in business because they want to be better than that guy, and that's another way you fail. Be better than you were. Be your own competition. Don't worry about anyone else. You focus on other people, that's time losing in your game. Somebody who is already in business and wants to grow, just kind of look at your stagnant point. So this is what I'm good at helping with. Why haven't you grown? Let's say a company's doing $3 million a year. Last 3 years, they've done $3 million. I just can't grow. I've hit the ceiling. I can't go anywhere. It take me 30 days to figure this out, and we'll change. But there's a lot of things that this guy is doing or this girl is doing that they shouldn't be doing. Still sending emails. Still doing daily reports. Still making phone calls. Doing everything. And everything in the company has to come back to them for a decision. That's the number one problem in business. And you're never going to grow if you always have to be the pivot of your company to go forward or backwards. We have to get you out of the way. Now, the last one is being able to build a scalable and sellable business. So first, you got to get in business. Second, you got to take yourself out of your business so you can work on your business, not in your business. And the third thing you want to do is make sure that your business is scalable and sellable. If you've owned a business for 5 years and you can't sell it, you don't own a business. You're a slave to whatever's paying you. If people want to buy your company, they want to buy the company and the value of the company. They don't want to buy the owner. If the owner has to stay attached, it's not really sellable and you're not going to make a lot of money. How are these companies selling for $50 million, $100 million? Because they're self-operating. They have the right people in place, the right teams in place to operate and make the team this kind of money. And the owner's just kind of like doing, and that's all he's got to do. So I've been able to do that, in my businesses that I've owned. I've been able to build systems, build processes, get people in place where, like, if I'm giving the company 10, 15 hours a week, that's a lot. But just being able to stay on it. So for someone to take over my role of understanding, operating, and just kind of overlooking the entire way that everything's going is super simple. But if I was in the trenches 50 hours a week, in the office every single day, on top of everyone, what are you buying? You'd have to hire me to work for you. Now I don't own the business anymore. Now I'm your employee. And I got to stay for at least 3, 4, 5 years till you can replace me because the company's not going to operate or generate without me. So being able to say, like, I have a good company and I make a lot of money is cool. I don't care what your gross is. I want to know what your net is. And now we want to take your net and I want to take your time that you've put in every single week for the last 12 months and I want to divide it. If you're making a couple $100,000 a month based on your hour per dollar, that's cool. But if you're making $20 to $30 an hour like most business owners, that's not cool.
Well,
most business owners are working 80 hours a week, making $600,000 a year. At the end of the day, the amount of time they're putting in their business, they're making $25 to $30 an hour. They're a glorified employee with a title that status is president. But you're a president of your stress. You're a president of something that will not operate unless you're there. God forbid something happens to you. What's going to happen to your company? What's going to happen to your customers? Everything's going to fall apart. Why? Because you're a control freak. And you won't ever go through that second threshold of building a good, valuable business until you pull yourself out of the way.
wow. Now, I gotta admit, you gave us so many good nuggets. You are the real deal. And how can my audience get a hold of you?
I'm really big on Instagram, Big Dan Official on Instagram. DanSachkowsky.com is my website. All my social tags are there. But my most, I interact with everybody on Instagram. It's not bots. It's nothing. It's every DM, everything is me. So that's kind of where I spend my time. I had to make a decision. I think this is something that I can close out with, that people try to build social media. And one nugget I got from my coach, and just so you guys know, like, I pay my coach $100,000 a year.
Wow.
People can't fathom that. My first coach was 15 grand a year. My coach now is 100. And people are like, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm like, dude, like, you know what that does for me? Guy makes $200 million a year, and he's one-on-one coaching me. I would pay $100,000 a month if I had to for that kind of information. He didn't hear that, I hope. But being able to understand that and know that there's so much value outside of that. And my coach told me when I was working with him, he just told, I think it was like in October, he said, you have to stop trying to be everywhere. I was trying to be on Instagram. I was trying to be on TikTok. I was trying to be on YouTube. I was trying to be everywhere. He goes, figure out what your two best resources are. And those two best resources will grow as long as you feed them. So I said, okay, I'm going to do Instagram. TikTok was blowing up, but then all of a sudden it stopped. And I just kind of looked at how was my interaction, where was my, best audience, and how was my audience engaging the best, and it was Instagram. The best thing for us to have is a YouTube channel. But YouTube is a long process, bro. It's years for us to grow something super, super valuable. So how do we use a social platform and YouTube? Pick one. So I picked Instagram. Instagram went from like 0 followers in October because I built a brand new one to like, I don't know, I think I have like 74,000 followers or something. The interaction I get on my videos is huge, but I focus there. I still post on TikTok, but I don't even comment back to anyone there. Just that way it's there. And then I use YouTube Shorts. I make sure I post 30 shorts a month. Plus I post 4 to 5 full episodes a month. And you just see that slow growth. It's painful. It's painful.
Oh, I'm going through it.
But Instagram is where people spend their time. When you're at a restaurant, when you're in an airport, wherever you are, you're at a bar, people are in 3 places. Snapchat, not our generation. TikTok, some of our generation, but people who are not business savvy, they just want to keep themselves busy with bullshit videos, or Instagram. Our generation is going to be more on Instagram, and people who are trying to seek the right business are going to be on Instagram. So by finding the right platform to help you grow and being consistent, that's another thing. I post 3 times a day, every single day, no matter what, same time, all scheduled posts, done. I don't miss a day. I don't miss anything. And once you stop being consistent, you can't post on Instagram Monday and then post again on Friday and then post again next Thursday and expect the algorithm to be like, hey, you're back. You got to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And it's work. So I don't do my posting, but I do all my comments. I do all my DMs. But I have a guy who makes all my videos, super cheap, in the Philippines. Good guy. He's actually became a friend of mine, and I just love the guy. I love what he's doing. But, I'm willing to pay him whatever I have to pay him because the cost of living out there is different than it is here. So I feel like I'm doing well for him, and he's doing very good for me. And then being able to have someone post your content, again, 2 little things that cost very minimum. Take them out of the way, buy your most valuable asset back, which is your time, and figure it out. You want to do everything all the time, you're going to fail. So
I'm with you. And Dan, thank you for everything. And guys, I hope this helps.